Welcome to the Mischief. I'm Valen, and this is Arcane Archives, an early to mid-game inventory management system, very simple to use by AranaiRa, Noobanidus, and Lenyeto. Okay, so you may see this room, and it is very cramped, and lots of stuff is going on in here. Let's step outside and take a breather. There's a lot in this mod, and it's not as complex as this room may look. Yes, things are a little bit prettier than one might think, but it is, as I said at the beginning, a storage mod, more or less, with a heavy magic theme to it, or magical-like theme at least. And I just took some of the blocks from it and decided to make some stuff. So, how do you start in this mod? Well, first and foremost, I will let you know you don't need to listen to the rest of this video. You don't need to watch it. You can just press L and bring up your achievements and advancements, and just follow those in your Arcane Archives, and this will take you through everything. Otherwise, if you're more of a visual learner, then stick around, and I will be glad to demonstrate further. So, first thing you're going to want to do is make one of these suckers here, a Tome of Arcana. This will, as it says, provides documentation for Arcane Archives, which it's just a book and a gold nugget. It's really cheap. But then once you open it up, you've got this beautiful interface here, which the Arcana section is a future edition planned for the Arcane Archives, but currently it's not in there. But you've got your blocks, your items, your concepts, and of course an index, so you can just look through everything, and it's pretty basic. You've got some arrows and stuff at the top and bottom, little house icon to get back to the beginning, and so on. And I highly recommend, if you have any confusion about something, or you unlock something new or make something new, you just click on here and you can find out all sorts of stuff about the entire thing. It's really, really good, very in-depth, and really, really handy. So, once you've made yourself a book, you can obviously use that for reference. You don't have to have the book, it's just a good starting point. The real beginning of the mod is actually going to be these little things over here, the Radiant Resonators. These are, well, let's look at them over here in an inventory that I have currently set up. Radiant Resonator is made with some basic materials, as you can see here. Of course, recipes can always change, but this just gives you an idea of the involvement. It's early game stuff. You just need some gold and some iron bars and a bucket, really. I mean, logs, you just find those within the first few seconds of logging into a world in most cases. And you can have up to a maximum of 3 running at any one time. If you make more than 3, you're not going to get the best yield from it. So keep that in mind. You want to have at least 3, maybe? I mean, you can get away with 1 if you really want to. But the reason being is because over time, this will make these, your raw radiant quartz. And as you saw there, it was a raw quartz cluster, which can be silk touched if you so desire. Also, it may encourage cats to appear and whatnot. Let's actually grab one here. We'll put the cat on top. There we go. Meow. We've got our kitty. They will tend to, I don't know, head towards some of these items, and it can be quite funny shenanigans. Little Easter egg there. But anyway, moving on from that, we've got raw radiant quartz. What can this be used for? A whole lot of different things. To start with, you can take your raw radiant quartz, find a solid block, and start punching it on the ground. You might get a few hits before it actually breaks, in which case you'll get like a few little slivers of light. Once it does finally break, it'll break into a big bunch like this one did and give you several of these. What are these good for? Well, let me go downstairs. I currently have a teleportation set up down here, and I can show you. It is nighttime, so therefore it's easy for me to demonstrate. I can just right click and it will plop down one of these little slivers of light, which is a very simple torch, more or less. And therefore, because those things will, over time, it takes about 3 or so minutes for those clusters to actually generate, you can get more of these. I just lost one into the water. Oops. But you can put it on the side. You can put it on itself. You can put it, on all sorts of locations and whatnot. It's pretty cool how it works. It's very simple. You can walk through them, as well as, check this out, they also will not be washed away by water like simple torches will. So this is a really good way of allowing you to keep your charcoal or coal or whatever items you might want for yourself in your early game Minecraft. It just kind of allows you to use your resources as you more see fit. That, and it's just a really cool light source to be placing down a bunch of crystals underground instead of the other stuff. So what else can you do with those? Well, you're going to want to use them to make things. Namely, if I have a chest or a crafting table, let me actually get one of those here, and I place these in the world. Let's put this down, put this down, and if I have some of these raw quartz clusters harvested up into, there we go, some of these, the raw radiant quartz. Let me grab a few more here just so I have some. You can sneak right click on a chest and turn it into a radiant chest, or on a crafting table and turn it into a radiant crafting table. It's really nice, very simple. You don't have to make them this way if you already have, but this is one way of converting them. If your chest already has stuff in it, it will keep those items, and it's just good like that. Alternately, you can actually make these with existing chests that you have in your inventory just by crafting with it to make a radiant chest and a radiant crafting table, as you would see here. Now, what benefit do these have? One, a radiant crafting table is similar to those that may have experienced this before in modded Minecraft, a Tinker's Construct kind of table where items in it will stay in it. As you can see here, it's still in there. But you also notice that there are some other items on the side here. What is going on? It's similar, and I'm only using this just for comparisons because a lot of people might find this a little bit more relatable, to a project table of like forestry or something like that. If I grab a little bit of some wood here and I put some in here, let me actually clear these away, and I put in a recipe like this, sticks, right? I can actually hover over here. I can put it on here multiple times if I so desire. If I want to clear away a saved recipe, I just hit sneak, or shift in my case, and clear it off by left clicking. If I want to change the recipe, I can easily just do this, and then I just left click and it saves that recipe. So you can save up to 3 recipes. Do you need to have these items in the crafting table to make them? No. You can just click and you get 4 of those sticks just like that. It's really simple, really easy, and really cool. I like it quite a lot. But it is, once again, a nice little bonus add-on for your early game crafting. So if you're always making sticks, you're always making planks, things like that, you just put them in there, you just click that, and you get what you want. It's really good. If I right-click this, it just gives me the same thing as if I left-click. So you're not getting an entire stack's worth. If you sneak-click it, obviously it clears it away. So there is a restriction of if you wanted to make an entire stack's worth in there. But still, it's really good. Really, really good. Let me put some of these other items away that I'm not using now. There we go. So, what else can we do, kitty? Let's take a look. Oh my goodness. Sorry, kitty. Yes, that's the thing. The raw quartz clusters will end up flinging entities that might be sitting on them when they pop up there. So it's good for a laugh at the very least. So with that in mind, what else is there? There are these, the radiant chests. What is unique about them? Well, you might notice there's a few more than just 64 in this spot. You can have a maximum of 256 per slot, and one of these is the equivalent of a double chest for Minecraft standards. Plus, it looks really cool, and you can mark it, as you can see here, which I'll get into shortly. It being a radiant chest, you can also name it. As you notice down here in the bottom left, I typed in here Radiance, and then if I use the one probe on the top left, it says name Radiance. Same thing with this one, it says Stuff, and I'm using a Mischief of Mice black shield as the marker for this random stuff. So it's just really good. It also has compatibility with Quark, so you can search in here. Let's look for Sliver, if I can type this. There we go. And you can see it highlights the item in place. Works really good. So it expands your inventory already so that you can better store items in a smaller space. They also look really good. Oh, sorry, kitty. Just got flung across the other side. It also makes things a little bit more, well, easier to store, I guess. So let's move on. How do I customize these? How do I understand them? Things of that nature. Right, kitty? I hear you asking me this. Well, that is going to be made with the Scepter of Revelation. This made with some raw radiant quartz, which obviously is very simple to do. You can therefore make a Scepter of Revelation, which just by right-clicking on things, it tells you there's 49 slots free, 39 slots free. If you have something in here, let's put a pick in this place. And I right-click on there, it says Radiant Crafting Table contains Iron Pickaxe. So it tells you the contents of it and whatnot. I might even be able to, there we go. So I've now saved a recipe, put that in there, and I can right-click on there. It says contains these items individually. Oak planks, oak planks, oak planks, and oak planks. So if you're not sure what's in there, obviously it doesn't render on the top here, but this is just to make things a little bit easier for any kind of rendering issues. So there's plenty of other things, but don't worry, we're getting in there. Moving on from the Scepter of Revelation, it can be used to make yourself a Scepter of Manipulation, but that is only after you have made yourself one of these, a gem cutter table. So a gem cutter table, just to give a quick brief overview, is made, yes, with diorite, OMG. This is probably the only limiting factor in this entire mod, in my mind. But if you've already gotten gold, you probably should already have access to diorite, I would imagine. And then any kind of logs, paper, glass pane, and whatnot. And you can place one of these things down. Has its own little internal inventory that you can use if you so desire. You don't have to. You can have the items that you need to craft with in your own inventory, and it will pull from there as well. But just know that it gives you all these different items that you can then craft. Now, it will only highlight items that you can craft if you have all the ingredients for it. For example, a shaped radiant quartz requires 2 raw radiant quartz, which is these here. If I pick that up, it says you don't have it. Place it back down, it's good. If I put it in my own inventory, I can still make it. How do you make things in here? Well, you click on it, and then you just drag however many you want out of it. That's pretty much it. I want some radiant dust. Let's make some more of these, and I will just drop it in here. And it will actually work in a network as well, but I will get to that shortly. So for now, though, a Scepter of Manipulation. How do I make one of these? It tells you a Scepter of Revelation, which I already have, as well as Shaped Radiant Quartz, which I have recently made some of those of, I think. Yeah, Shaped Radiant Quartz. I have that as well. Click, you take that out of there, you get one of these things into your inventory. What does this do? This allows you to customize, install upgrades, and otherwise change things around. Kitty, you're really being annoying. Stop it. So, sit down. Now, if I right-click on one of these chests, it's not going to do too much. You can right-click, but you'll notice if I sneak right-click, it disappeared. It allows you to label things in some manners as well. By having the shield in my offhand, or whatever in my offhand, it will allow me to put that symbol on here. To clear it away, you simply take something off, and you just sneak right-click and it goes away. If I want the Tome of Arcana to be the symbol on here, sneak right-click, oops, right-click rather, and it will put that image on there. Sneak right-click without anything in your inventory, or your offhand rather, and it should clear it away, just like that. So that's pretty much just how it works. I mean, it's not really super fancy on how it does it, but it does it, and it does it really, really well. It's simplicity's sake. Actually, I'm going to keep that with me just because that's a really handy book to have. So that's one way of using it. Other ways, I will show you as we progress because there's a whole bunch of other things that we can click on at this point. All right, kitty, get back in your bottle. You're meowing too much. We're putting you away. Okay, so let's continue on with a monitoring crystal. So if you scroll through here in your gem cutter table, you'll have a monitoring crystal. Shaped radiant quartz, some gold nuggets, sticks. It's not too bad of a recipe at all. And you'll notice that if you want to know what the recipe is in JEI, it has somewhat of a build-up, lets you know that these are the ingredients for it. And it has a little representation of your gem cutter's table, and even says so in the top here, so that you can get that output. What is this? This is just, if you think of it, it's actually a crafting table with some drawers down the front and some magnifying lenses up on the top, as well as like a little diorite grinding wheel, some measuring tools and whatnot, as well as some scrolls. All of those are going to be basically involved in the different things you can make on here. I'll be covering those one by one, or bit by bit. So let me clear my way out. Okay, I have now cleared away the entryway, but before I do, I need to show you something else that you need to make, and that is a manifest. This is the central area for making a storage mod out of this, not just some bigger chests that look really pretty and are customizable. Instead, you can actually make a manifest. This is made in the gem cutter table with just a few items, and it can be assigned a hotkey. If you go into your controls and scroll down, you should find something in here for, where is it? Arcane Archives. There we go. And I assigned it to the letter M in this case, just because it's a manifest. And it will bring this up. Otherwise, you can therefore just click on it, and it will also bring up all the items in your Radiant chests and Radiant network. So the Gem Cutters table is part of that, as well as these Radiant chests. Now, I do have 4 oak planks over here. Let's actually take all the oak planks out of this, put them in here, and you'll see when I open this up that there are still 12, and this is also part of the Radiant network. If I click now, it says that there's 4. So I have the 8 in my inventory. Put them in there, there we go, and they're back into the 12 again of the oak wood planks. I was using that as just an example. Now you'll notice that there are some big numbers. It's 445 raw radiant quartz. That's pretty much all in here with a combination. Now you can customize the size of these chests, the quantities that can be stored in each slot. All depends on the config settings that you want for it. But otherwise, I've got 4,000 plus cobblestone. 4,000. That's quite a lot. But also in this, you can see you have tracking. You have some kind of sorting method, whether it be by numbers or by alphabet. It's pretty cool. You can do highest to lowest, lowest to highest, and so on. Now, if I wanted to, let's actually do numbers highest to lowest. There we go. If I wanted to, I could actually use this to track things. I need charcoal, but I've got like 30 chests over here. I don't or which item I left it in last crap. I don't remember. Let's click charcoal and wait, I've got this little glowy line going from me to this desk. So let's click on here and you can see there's some charcoal right there. It's actually glowing. Isn't that pretty cool? I mean, I think that's fantastic. It shows you where it's at in multiple ways. So let's click on something that has multiple spots. We've got raw radiant quartz in this chest. Let's put some in this chest as well, right? I click here. It's going to say we've got a total of 90. That's fine. I click on here to try and find it. Well, oh, that's right. I forgot. I did not clear away the... Oh, no, wait. Look, raw radiant quartz is in here. It's in here. And it's in here. And once you open those inventories, it is cleared. Now, if you are looking for that same thing, let's say this. In order to find something like raw radiant quartz, I click on my manifest. I can therefore find it in here, or I can search if I don't know where it is, because there could be quite a list. Quartz, raw radiant quartz. That's what I'm looking for, right? I click, I get a bunch of lines drawing to the different locations. But you know what? That wasn't what I wanted. I wanted this quartz, raw radiant quartz, not that quartz. How do I do that? Just right click. And it stops tracking them, as well as it will unhighlight it from inventories, allowing you to continue on with your next search. If you want multiples, you hold sneak or shift in this case. You can click raw radiant quartz, sliver of light. You can also do some shaped radiant quartz and some radiant lanterns. All right, so I need all of these ingredients. Oh, they're in these 3 locations, right? Well, I've got some here. I can also draw from them there and make my own because I have the materials for it. I can draw from them here. I can also draw from it here. There we go. That was the one I was looking for. I just wanted to get them all into the right spot. So this tells you basically a total of everything you have in all of your radiant inventories. Now, do I have to stick to a radiant inventory? No. I can use another inventory with a monitoring crystal. Now, I've already made some of these. It's just, you know, your basic recipe here with a gem cutter's table. And you get one of those, and it's currently downstairs. I will show you. I don't have it hooked up, but you can hook it up just by taking one of these and placing it on your applicable chest. So let's say I've got some external inventory set up. This isn't necessarily a vanilla chest. It could be like some kind of iron chest or metal chest or something like that. Regardless, it still works with your vanilla ones too if you don't want to upgrade them. Like you've got a double chest and you want to keep it double for some reason. You know, you've got some specific setup. You don't want to break it up and reorganize something inside. Well, now it will add in this extra inventory. I'm clicking on my manifest. My cobblestone has shot up from 2K to 3K. I now have a whole lot. Actually, I did end up breaking that off. Let me dig this off here. And then we click here. I now have 2K, just to give an example. There we go. So now it will include this. I also have a bucket of water on there now. I have 2, one upstairs and one downstairs. Where are they? I don't know. Let's find out. Click here, and I've got one here and one way up there. So let's actually head up top. See if we can find this other one. There we go. Aha! Water bucket. Found it. Excellent. I don't want that anymore. Right click, it's done, or you can hit end tracking. Very simple to use. Now, you don't have to carry your manifest around with you. You can actually change that around to other ways of using it. And that is with this, a manifest lectern. This is basically a standing version. So you'll notice that I am no longer holding on to my manifest, nor am I using my M key to access it. I am right-clicking And you can see that it will open up just like the regular manifest, so you can have a standing, more permanent way, and you don't have to clutter up your inventory or worry with conflicting hotkeys if you so desire. And plus, it's a little bit more, I don't know, just pretty. I like it. It's nice. Little shelves in there and stuff. And it all works the same here. If you wanted to, you can actually click the wrench and you can change things. This is on any of the manifests. It's not just the manifest lectern. And the wrench will allow you to change your settings or your configs in-game if you so desire, some of which may require a restart, but for the most part, they should work just fine. So, what else do we have? There's plenty more to store things in. Yes, there are tanks and troves. That is these here. Yes, I've got them just kind of sitting up here with my, what do you call them? The sliver of light barred windows. But currently, I've got radiant troves. These are made, of course, and the tanks are both made in the gem cutters table, as you could probably see here. Let's see, there we go. Radiant trove, radiant tank, very simple. The recipes on those ones, just a quick glance at it. The tank is not too much. It requires a containment field, which requires a scintillating, it requires a whole bunch of little gadgets and doodads, a tiny bit of microcrafting. It's not that bad. And then you've got your trove, which also requires a radiant chest, shaped radiant quartz, and a material interface, which then requires a scintillating inlay, which, there you go. So there isn't a ton of microcrafting. Don't worry, it's not ridiculous. You just put some stuff in here, and it's very simple to work through and make. It kind of takes a lot of the thought out of it. It makes it a lot easier to craft with this gem cutter table as well. So, a trove, you notice this one has 127 diorite. This one has 2,000 cobblestone, 3+1 upgrades. We've got tanks. This one has lava in it, obviously. This one has nothing. This is a blank one. And then we've got water. I was just giving these for examples of what they look like currently. Over here, we've got oak wood. We've got stone. Just by looking at them, it gives you a little idea of how much is in there and what type of item it is. Alternately, you can always look in here, and they're part of your network because they are radiant items. Radiant items are all interconnected as part of your network, plus those that might be using a monitoring crystal. So, with that being said, what good are these? They work similar to storage drawers, if I'm to be completely honest. Similar to it, or barrels if you're a really old school Minecrafter. Now, you right-click, you'll get one. Or left-click, you get one. Right-click, you put it away. Sneak, left-click, you get a stack. Same thing. If you've got some in your inventory and you're trying to put them away, just clicking the one that's in your hand goes away. If you double click with the right click, it will all go in there, just like that. Now, as is, if I use my Scepter of Revelation, that's right, there is multiple uses for this thing that I talked about a long time ago. Right click, it tells you you can store 32,768 items in this. Why? Well, let me use my Scepter of Manipulation and show you it has upgrade slots. If I look at this one, it has several upgrades in it. It has a matrix brace, a material interface, a shaped radiant quartz block, and a devouring charm. What? This is weird stuff, right? No, it's not. It's normal stuff. This has 3 different upgrade types in it just by clicking on here. I can't remove the middle upgrades. It is more or less as you upgrade it. You have to upgrade them. So if I hover over this one, I can try and put this in here. It won't go in. It has to be the first upgrade, which will increase it twofold. So right now it just says +1 upgrade. Let's take out the voiding upgrade as well. 2,000 cobblestone, right? If I put this in here, it will then say, oh, single upgrade. This basically doubles it, and then that's going to double the existing doubled, and then this is going to double that on top of it. So you're going to get like 10 times as much by the time you're done. Something along those lines. Tells you how many upgrades are in there. Now the devouring charm. This, as before, most things are made in the gem cutters table. You get several of these. You can use them as voiding upgrades. So if you're piling things in here, it will just automatically start deleting any excess. And looking at this one right now, if I click on it, it says it can hold 327,680 items versus 32,768. So you can see it's 10 times as much with maximum upgrades on there. Now, devouring charm. If you right click it, this sucker is more than just an upgrade for a trove. It can be used to throw things away. I don't need that. I don't need that. And you can always, just open and close and it's gone. So it's basically a trash can. There are multiple other ways that you can use this. One quick word about devouring charms and radiant tanks is that when you click on a radiant tank with liquid in it, and you have one that is empty, it will take the contents into the one that you currently have, or vice versa. And if you wanted to empty these out, you no longer want the contents to be in there, you can use your devouring charm to right-click, put the liquids up here. It will just instantly delete those. It also works for vanilla. Another use for devouring charms is on the go. You'll notice that you have your just throwawayable garbage can here, your liquid devouring stuff here, but if you click here, you'll see the backside. And I have placed in here raw radiant quartz. You can also, put other items in there if you so desire, and it will only delete these items. So therefore, if I put down some raw radiant quartz as well as some slivers of light, I walk over them, notice my slivers of light are 15 and this is 11. I walk forwards and I pick all those up. I now have 17 slivers of light as I throw down a couple. I still have 11 raw radiant quartz because it devoured those specific ones that I put on here for a whitelist only. So therefore you can automatically delete things and on the go at this relatively inexpensive item. But just know that this can be used also, it can't be stored in the trove, but it can be used as an upgrade for it with your Scepter of Manipulation, allowing it to void items. Can it be used on radiant tanks? Well, yes, it can. There we go. Same thing, but it might have some slightly different items. This one over here will be using a material interface for the middle grade, and this one here will be using a containment field for the middle upgrade. Otherwise, these are the current upgrades you have available to you. So, the liquids. They are a little bit confusing, but they're actually really cool. It's the same as before. You just have tanks. They work the same as troves. You can expand their inventories. You can right-click on them and look at, they hold 16 buckets by default. This one here, fully upgraded, will carry 160,000 buckets worth of stuff, which is pretty darn impressive. Now, what about if I break it? Well, let's have a look. We've got 127 diorite, right? Break that. And I now have a radiant trove, and some diorite. Put this down. Oh, that was a blue wool one. Wrong one. Let's pick that up. Put this one back down. 126 diorite. It's back. The only reason I have one in my hand is because I started breaking it with my left, click, which gets you one at a time. So I guess you could sneak. No, that gets you a stack at a time. Anyway, you're still going to get one just by trying to break it. But you get the idea that you can break it and take it with you. It automatically will store these items. Same thing with the liquids. Let's grab this. I now have a tank with liquid in it. You can see it has water currently stored in there. It's really cool. And on top of that, you can actually link those up with a special item or two. And that is going to be... Oh, shoot. I don't know where it is. Actually, I can find it. Let's see. The Radiant Amphora. All right, so Radiant Amphora... There it is. Very easy to find. Gosh, this mod is so amazing. So if you look here, it currently has a blue outline on it. It's used to transfer fluids to and from a radiant tank or reservoir matrix. So if you click on one of these things, it will hook up to that tank. Clicking on this one, it will hook up, or sneak right click, rather, it will hook up to that one. So sneak right click, you'll change blue, red, nothing, as you get the idea. So if I take this one, and you notice that I currently have 8 buckets worth, or 8,000 millibuckets. I can pour this on the ground. Let's actually pour it in here. By hitting sneak right click, or rather sneak left click, it will then tip this jug over and look like it's pouring out, because it is. When you right click, you will pour out amounts of liquid in here according to how many are in there. So if I click on here, it then says I have 3,000 because I was pouring a whole bunch out. So if I sneak left click again, it will then pick up liquids. Pick it up, just like so. And you can see now that it has how much in there? 9,000. So if I'm fast enough, I might be able to drain up the entire room. There we go, before it duplicates itself. And therefore you can pick up water remotely and fill tanks. You don't have to actually like bucket back and forth like a lot of tank mods do. This allows you to directly fill each tank, which is really fantastic. And once again, it's just really good to be able to switch that out, and then I can pour out lava. Not that I'm really going to in here. I don't want my place to burn. But you get the idea. It's just that simple to fix things up. Let's put that back. Sneak right click, make it empty. There we go. So those are the tanks and the troves. And you'd think that that was all, but it's not. Let me actually go downstairs and I can show you a little something else about this stuff. And this is something you probably have been seeing throughout this bit by bit so far. And that is the Radiant Resonators, the tanks, and the troves all can give a redstone signal telling you how much or how far or how full it is or how far along it is in its transformation. So you can see this is giving off a very weak power 1 with its lack of the radiant quartz being on there anymore. If I pick this up and put this next to this one, it's going to say that it's empty. But if I take my amphora and I actually jump back up here, hook it up to one of these ones, let's do this. I can probably sneak right click, sneak left click, and I might be able to transfer these fluids between the two. Let's give it a go. So if I start filling this up, boom, it just transfers all the fluid, and you can see that it's almost completely full, or at least it's a good way there. I didn't exactly put out 16 blocks of redstone, but you get the idea. Then, of course, we have another one here with the items. Now, you notice this is giving off nothing from this trove. There is air currently stored inside. Click in here, and I take a whole bunch of cobble, and I put this all in there. Let's double click, and you can see it currently is giving off a weak signal. The reason being is that this is actually not very full. Remember, it can store 32,000 items starting off. So you do see, though, that it is currently there. And if I start taking these out, just by left clicking, it will eventually kill that signal. There we go. So you now see that that's how good these can work. And if I go back to what I started with this Radiant Resonator, you can see now at the top left it says progress 30%. If you're curious how far it is, your Scepter of Revelation can also tell you how it is doing. Current status, resonating. And you can put this in place, and you can see that it is about a little bit, like maybe 35% there. Well, let's see. Yep, 36%. All right, so I'm going to say that I was right at the time when I said that. Anyway, let's head back up. So what else is there in this mod that could potentially make it any cooler than it already is? This, the Brazier of Hoarding. This is amazing and fantastic. It looks like it's decorative. It is. But it also is functional. And that is, well, let's see. I'm going to look in my Radiant chest. And it currently is set to have Braziers of Hoarding can insert any item into this Radiant chest. If I click this, it then takes a little cross mark across. Braziers of Hoarding can only insert items that this Radiant chest already contains. Interesting. That's very interesting. This one here, we're going to leave it the other way. So if I take something and throw it into the fire, where'd it go? Well, it's not in here. It's in there. Neat, huh? This is a way of getting items into your storage. Yes, you could take it with you. You could throw it on the ground, and you can launch things into your inventory. The only difference is this stuff has to be loaded. It cannot be unloaded for these things to actually function as intended. So if I uncheck this and I check this one, then when I throw in the pick, it should go into this one, which is my stuff chest. Yeah, which is exactly where I wanted it to go. So this is just one way of throwing things into inventories. Now, you'll notice I have a shulker box in here. Thanks to Quark, you can see the contents of it already. 2 stacks of smooth stone, or cooked stone as it is. I have 383 up here. If I take this and I right-click on the Brazier of Hoarding, it is empty. And, boop, I now have 511 stone. It will automatically deposit items from shulker boxes and similarly coded items into those inventories. Not all storage items will potentially use this. It all depends on the mod that you might be using. But as far as vanilla mechanics go, it works beautifully. Now, if I have a bucket of water, let's actually use the lava instead. There we go. I have lava in my network, right? And if I look here, it says I have 10,000. Well, if I throw this in, it's just going to go into the bucket. If I right-click, it's going to go in. Just like a bucket. It doesn't work that way. That's what the amphora is for. Just for those that are curious. Now, if you want to, you can actually right-click things on the Brazier of Hoarding, and it will automatically go into the items as well, into the storage system as well. It's pretty cool. It can also store into here. So if I have no sticks in here, and I click this so that nothing new goes into it, it should automatically, throw the whole stack in there. Should automatically go in here. Yep, there we go, 32. All the sticks are now currently in this one, and none went into any of the other storages. It will go into troves first, regular storage, and gem cutter tables next. So that's just really, really cool. And you can also edit this. Right-clicking on this gives you a little bit of stuff. Items will be routed to any device in your network. Items will be routed only to devices that you placed personally. And that leads me to more networks. But before I get into that, let's cover this. Click to display a visualizer for the range this brazier is operating in. There we go, 150 blocks. Everything looks a little bit fuzzy, blurry, a bit more rainbowy. That's because it's a bit far away. Let me change this to 5 blocks. And then we can just reset that. And because I am currently on a mountain, it's going to be very difficult to actually see. You can see here that there is a line that I'm about to pierce. There we go. Yeah, let me get into creative mode, and you can see it's a 5-block radius currently around that area that it is covering. That's what that allows you to do, so that you can actually visualize that if you want. You just click that, it goes away. It's not a problem. Pretty neat, right? You can change the limits on this if you so desire. You can click in here and increase or decrease by 10 very simply if you didn't want to type. And it's just really nice for how far of a range this can work. Of course, if you're like deep underground, you're going to be like, okay, let's have this go 10,000 blocks. You're not really going to want to do that. It's more or less just 150 blocks, which is for the most part about horizon line in, as far as you have chunks loaded away from your current storage. So you're not really going to want it to go above that. Keep that in mind. Now let's talk about networks and other people. I have friends that want to join me on a server, and they want access to this stuff too. Well, they don't get their own. They don't get their own stuff. They have to get their own setup. No, they don't have to. They can, but you can also create a letter of invitation. Now, a letter of invitation, I just spawned 64 of them things. Basically, you just create it. It's very simple to make. These are very cheap recipes. That's what this entire mod is mostly based on, is that the recipes are really inexpensive. And it will allow you to basically, you just right click, bing, and that person who you just invited or gave this to is then invited to use your network. Now, as you noticed, when I clicked on here, items will be routed to any device in your network, or items will be routed only to devices you placed personally. It remembers who placed what, just for purposes of this multiplayer use. So if you have things of, let's say, a letter of resignation, somebody wants to leave your inventory network and start their own inventory network, then they can use this by holding right click and zapping out of it. Alternately, you can also have a writ of expulsion, which allows you to kick someone from your network because they keep on trolling you and you've just had it. You know what? It's enough. I can't take it no more. Let's see if I can get my screen. I can't even get my screen. Frustrating me so much. You kicked. Okay, that's the idea. So, not to say that they couldn't come in and try and destroy your stuff. Oh, wait, there are config options that allow you to do that. So remember, you can change your config so that your stuff can't be broken if you so desire to. But that's basically what these letters and writs are about, is the multiplayer functionality of it so that you can have people invited, they can voluntarily leave, or you can kick them out of that network and share inventories. Now, if you do a letter of invitation, and they already have some stuff, then you guys can share across. Because if you look on here, it even says, allows you to invite other players to your Arcane network. They can then do the same for you as well. And this allows you to leave one. This just allows you to kick a player from your Arcane network, rename on an anvil to set the player to kick. So that is the important part. There's like an extra bit. It's not just someone accidentally picks it up and starts clicking going, her. No, they've got to use an anvil, put their name on it, and then they use it, and that person is kicked. So that's pretty much how that one works. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this bit by bit on Arcane Archives. Is there more coming? Oh, definitely. There's plenty more in Arcane Archives for the foreseeable future. Don't worry about that. Thanks a lot again to AranaiRa and Noobanidus for such excellent help with getting this bit by bit set up, and for making such a beautiful and excellent and very, very functionally wonderful mod. So don't be afraid to give a like, comment, subscribe, and as always, check us out on Twitch most nights around 10 p.m. UK time. We'll see you next time.